Jillian here, the Director of Customer Success at Chorus, joined by my colleague Drew, the VP of Marketing. Today we're going to go into a really exciting topic, something that Drew and I have been working on, specifically Drew, for quite a while, and we're ready to reveal the results to you guys. So drum roll, if you will. This video is going to be about Bloomberg and a survey that we did with them in regards to streaming services. So as we're all aware, in the pandemic, most of us are streaming Hulu, Amazon, Netflix more often than usual. And Bloomberg wanted to know, are people more willing to pay for different services or subscriptions on a limited budget? And we actually got to do some really cool things within the Chorus platform to get them to those end results. So Drew, you were kind of the star of the show on the Chorus side as far as getting this all wrangled together. So if you don't mind, like we usually do in interview style, just going to ask you some questions just to get to the bottom of how the survey came to be, and we'll actually show you guys what the end result was. So Drew, obviously, as I mentioned, this is a hot topic right now. People are streaming more. Bloomberg came to us and approached us about this survey. Maybe just talk through what the why was and why you were so intrigued to get this done for them.
Yeah, no, I think you sort of hit the nail on the head. The why is everybody is streaming things right now. We've been talking about cutting the cord or connected TV for a long time, but certainly the pandemic, the current environment has, I think, accelerated a lot of the trends that we've been seeing overall. And so people are starting to look at streaming as their only option for watching TV, live TV, and recorded shows. And obviously with the original programming that's on a lot of these streaming services, the options, there's a myriad of options. And so, Bloomberg, I think, was really interested in two things. One, which is, most people are on a pretty fixed budget, and, with that budget, what could they build, put together kind of the puzzle pieces of a variety of different services based on the shows that they like and the programs that they needed to watch. And then the other piece is then, are these streaming services, and it seems like every week we've got a new one, Disney Plus, Crunchyroll, BritBox are some of the more the newer ones, and then you've obviously got HBO Max is the new option from HBO that just launched. So with all of these rolling out, what was their pricing like? Are they priced more expensive than the average consumer would want to spend based on the programs that they have, or are they a deal, a must-have, if you were? Spoiler alert: Netflix is one of those where if you're, based on your demographics, you're a 18 to 40-year-old, you have to have Netflix. It's a requirement. So, but some of these more, CBS online, or the new HBO Max and Apple TV and things like that, are those required? And if so, is the price where it should be? So I think that those are the two core pieces that they had. And for us, it was really exciting because, one, it's a great use of our platform to go to kind of the broad consumer audience in the U.S. Obviously, we can do global, but we were focused here on the U.S. Streaming services. And then determining, one, if you had a fixed budget and you could only purchase, it was $50. If you had $50 and you can only purchase the streaming services that you like the best, how do you start ranking things? What are your favorite shows? All of those pieces tied together and came out to be this really nice piece. Actually, I'll show you. If you look at my screen here, we can show you this Bloomberg team, the graphics team, does just an absolutely awesome job with their visuals. And you can see here that what's cool about the piece, the end result, is that it's not only interactive, so I can go in here and I can choose, I love 30 Rock, choose some shows that you like and see interactively what your, what services you should buy. But then you can also see, what the shows you watch would require you to spend. You can see what the average consumer spending is. And then down here, you can actually see the difference between what people are willing to pay and what the actual subscription costs were. So the end result was really, really cool. And what we can talk a little bit about is the new feature that we actually made use of in doing this piece. But I'll stop there for a moment as I've rambled on your question. So.
No, that was great. I think you hit it right on the head of leading into that new feature. I know Bloomberg had a very specific request when it came to the actual kind of pricing module. If someone had a set budget, what would they spend their money on? At the time when they came to Chorus, we didn't necessarily have something that was as vetted out and could do as necessarily what they were looking for. So maybe talk us all through the process of how that idea came to form, and then I would love to hop in and just talk about what that looked like from our perspective and how we were able to come to the table and really meet their needs.
Yeah, well, so all credit due to our CEO, Jason Abramitis, on this one, because we actually had put together some pretty nice matrices to get to a pretty good understanding of the value of each service to the consumer. But Jason, ever wanting to improve our capabilities, thought that there might be a simpler and more effective way of doing it, and built out this kind of, I don't even know that we have a name for it yet, but it's sort of a fixed price bundle builder, if you will, where you can, as the survey creator, go in and choose, give a respondent a budget. So let's just say $50 a month. And then when you input the responses that they can choose, and so they can select multiple options, you can put in the price of those options. So in this case, it's streaming services, but you could see how this could be for any type of bundle that you would build. So let's say food services, right? Say the average ticket for a family of four is $40 at your restaurant. You want to see, what their choices might be. You go in and you'd say, okay, there's I don't know, let's say it's an Italian restaurant. We got the lasagna, we got the spaghetti and meatballs, we got, garlic bread, whatever. And you can choose for each of those options, you put in the price of the option. And then as the respondent goes to that question, they will click in, they'll see the cost of each menu item, as it were, select the choices, and that'll deduct from their budget. And so you can't go over. And so what makes it nice is you start to see people being a little bit more judicious about, okay, is this really important to me? Is this really something that I would want? You start to see them prioritize things. So maybe they prioritize the lasagna in my restaurant example. In the Bloomberg piece, as we look here, you can see Netflix and Hulu, Disney Plus are some of the ones that are absolutely prioritized by respondents. So it's a really cool feature, and you can see how the usage for any type of bundle of services. So think of insurance, think of food services, think of retail. There's a lot of options there.
Yeah, and that I think was really great on Jason's part, but I think the idea spawned from, hey, this is what we're doing. And it was great for you to be able to have that open collaboration with Bloomberg to say, hey, this is actually something we've thought about. What are your guys' thoughts here? And they gave us the freedom to go and run with that behind the scenes. So something to kind of emphasize specifically with Chorus is, we're here for you guys. Our platform is here to serve you. And if you have ideas or if something's not working in quite the way that you're wanting it to, absolutely come to us. I'm always here for any type of client support in relation to anything you guys have going on. I'm happy to help with any of those. And as Drew has mentioned, he is also great at kind of pivoting and thinking about things in a different light. So that's why him and I work so well together. And that's why we do these videos, is because we want to make sure that we're collaborating in a way that makes it best for you guys. So all awesome stuff. That feature was incredible. The survey was incredible. I loved what the graphics team did. Something else that I wanted to kind of talk to you about was, in relation to just the services and bundles specific to price, you also briefly mentioned this, but they got insights specifically to television shows and demographics in association with those television shows. I know you have the server or the end result up, but maybe just kind of talk through a little bit further on, how that was maybe crafted on the Chorus side, so people could actually select, hey, are you familiar with this show? And maybe what some of the insights were for people that were looking specifically to Netflix, but hey, they love, Miss Maisel, the Marvelous Miss Maisel. What did that look like from the end result perspective?
Yeah, no, it's an interesting question, right? Because I think that this, is one of the core problems that I think a lot of consumers have when they think about their streaming services, right? Is that there's things like Miss Maisel is obviously just on Amazon, or what's something that's just Stranger Things is just on Netflix, right? It's original programming. But then there's other things that are across various platforms. And so they did a really great job, and we can jump back to our end results here. You can see that, and the myriad of options that they have in terms of favorite TV shows. But you can see here that they worked together with our responses, and then just a database of all the TV shows and what streaming services those TV shows were on, in order to appropriately connect it with the various packages. Another really cool thing that they did here, and this is a little bit different than your question, but I think it dovetails nicely, is not only understanding the respondents' favorite programming, but understanding how the respondents in various demographic categories thought of these services. So again, if you go to the article, and the article we'll link to in the comment section here, but if you go to bloomberg.com/graphics, you can also find it there. You can go in and see, these are all the various different, demographic characteristics that you can break it down and see, did that group subscribe more or less than the average viewer here. So, taking it the next step of, how are these various demographic characteristics thinking about the different services that are available. So the two pieces tie together really, really nicely, which I think ultimately was a really cool result. So I don't know if that answers the question totally, but I think it was a cool result.
Yeah, no, it's a great, showcase again of just what you can make so simple in the survey, but have it be these complex data insights that were given to these guys. That's great. Kind of piggybacking off of that a little bit, but also bringing the conversation up to a higher level. Media companies are constantly looking for content. And I think that this was a great example of how they could use a survey platform, specifically Chorus, to understand more so about not only the representation of maybe their audience, but holistically across the US. Putting on your marketing hat, what are some other examples of how a media company could come to us and say, hey, we have this idea. What are you guys thinking here? I know that's super broad, but maybe just talk through some good examples of, what you would foresee media companies using Chorus for.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's you're kind of pulling the curtain back a little bit on my job and really what I've been focused on here for a little bit. But it's going to companies that are, I think media companies maybe don't think of themselves as content marketing firms, but that's really what they're doing, right? Is putting together interesting pieces and trying to get eyeballs on their sites. And so, where we've taken the approach is like, if you want to do a deep dive into something, if there's a very, we'll use COVID as an example, because we just did a piece with another group there, but like, obviously it's a very germane topic to everybody. And you wanted to kind of fill that story out. You want to come up with something, how are people perceiving this? What is the emotional impact on the end consumer as a result of this thing that's happening? I think it's really powerful in your in your piece to have a data point that says, 60% of respondents thought this way, or 70% of respondents, had this just, maybe not the thing that you were thinking about that topic. So for example, in the COVID piece, there was a lot of, the focus was on, how are businesses thinking about this as it impacts their future, and how many are starting to pivot, how many are starting to think about a different product. And so that's a really insightful thing. And without getting too far into what my colleagues in marketing world will, know as, SEO and thinking about how do you rank your pages with interesting content that people want to see. This is a really interesting way to differentiate and start getting into those unique insights. So, I think if you're a media company and you're talking about, big picture issues and things that are in the news, how people are thinking about the stock market rally as it relates to an economy that's now in recession. There's a lot of really interesting insights that you can get from people and how they're perceiving that. And I think that really starts to fill out the pieces that you build, even if it's just one data point. I think that's where, we take the approach that, like, sure, you could build an entire piece similar to this. You could take a lot of information, or you could just say, I want to know, a kind of a gen pop response here of what people are perceiving. So
Yeah.
I think that there's a lot of potential, and as you so eloquently said, we're always here to kind of bounce ideas off of and think through. And I think that's where you get the most interesting data points in that way.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great. This has all been awesome. I know that you worked extremely hard on this piece, and I know the Bloomberg team was especially grateful because it just turned out amazing.
Shout out to the Bloomberg team. They were awesome to work with. Really, really enjoyable. So this was fun, and certainly it's always cool to see the capabilities of kind of what we can do, and certainly what really talented organizations can do. So.
Yeah, it was a great collaboration, and I know that they feel the same way too. So that was a lot of fun, to say the least. And also, it made me think about what I needed to cut at my own home, because I what room for yeah. It was good perspective for sure. And also, you have to remember, you forget what shows are on different streaming services when you have all of them. So again, I was like, maybe I need to cut back, or maybe I'm the ideal person. I don't know.
Well, it turns out that we have Showtime. I didn't know that, and I don't think I think Billions is maybe the only show that I've occasionally watched on Showtime. So I think we need to cut that. But it was interesting to go through and see what is really necessary for myself. And they did a great job of also incorporating. You can take the survey yourself in that in the article. So it's cool.
Oh, that is really cool. It's a great thing. I forgot all about that. So as Drew mentioned, he will link the actual article in the comments. In our lovely little video bio section, you can also submit any survey or any questions that you have, or any information about videos of topics that you guys would like to see. Drew, I'll let you shamelessly plug other places that people can find information.
Yeah, as always, check out our blog, blog.cor.us. And we have the intercom button on all of our pages as well. So if you have any one-off questions, feel free to reach out to us there, or leave a comment on the video, and please subscribe and give us likes if you enjoyed what you saw.
Perfect. And I like that Jason got a shout out. So we'll have to have a little pop-up of Jason come up. So awesome. Well, thank you guys. We will see you next week.